Welcome along to listen to Deep Dive and Learn Words. This is where we really get under the skin of English vocabulary.
Giving you that shortcut to really sounding and well-being, truly well-informed.
Exactly. And hey, if you're finding these deep dives useful, we'd love it if you hit that like button, follow, subscribe, share it with anyone else who's trying to boost their vocabulary.
Especially if you're gearing up for those master's entrance exams, we know how tough that can be.
Yeah, absolutely. So today we're jumping into Day 8, Part 1 from your study materials, and we're not just skimming definitions here.
No way. This is about building a really solid, almost intuitive understanding of how these words work in real English.
How they shift meaning, how they feel in different contexts. It's about getting that confidence, that edge, when you're reading complex stuff or trying to express yourself precisely.
It's like building a mental map, connecting the dots between words. Rather than just having a list, it's much closer to how you'd naturally pick up a language.
Okay, let's get started. We're kicking off with a few words that all seem to hint at things getting, well, less.
Words of reduction or decline. But as you'll see, the way things become less varies hugely.
Right. So we're looking at mute, then diminish, and finally plunge.
And understanding the different intensities and the types of reduction these words convey, that's really key for sharp reading comprehension. The context is everything.
Okay, first up, mute. Now, often we see it as an adjective, like the example, the child sat mute in the corner of the room.
Yeah, that paints a really strong picture, doesn't it?
It does. It's more than just quiet. What does mute convey there emotionally?
Well, it suggests a complete lack of sound, yes, but also a lack of expression, maybe even responsiveness. It feels heavy.
Heavy, yeah, like a withdrawal, maybe?
Yeah.
Fear, shock.
So it could be any of those. It's not just silent. It's like voiceless or completely unresponsive. It hints at an inner state, I think, more than just the absence of noise.
That's a great distinction, inner state versus just lack of sound. So mute can carry a lot of emotional weight as an adjective.
Definitely.
But then it shifts when it becomes a verb. The meaning changes quite a bit, right? The example here is fascinating. Our ability to mute our hardwired reactions by pausing is what differentiates us from animals.
Oh, yes. This is brilliant.
It's not about literal silence here at all, is it?
Not at all. As a verb here, mute means to lessen, to soften, to reduce the intensity of something.
So those hardwired reactions like fight or flight.
Exactly. Instinctual responses. And the sentence says we can mute them, dampen them down, soften their impact by pausing.
So it's about control, reducing the power of those automatic impulses.
Precisely. It's about self-regulation, using that pause to let our more conscious thought processes step in. It's about reducing the impact or intensity, not eliminating the sound.
Okay, so that connection between pausing and muting reactions, how does that work logically? What does pausing actually do?
Well, pausing creates cognitive space, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a moment where your thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, can catch up with the instinctual reaction.
Okay, so you interrupt the automatic pilot.
You got it. That pause allows you to choose a response rather than just react. That ability to mute the initial impulse is, well, fundamentally human. It allows for reasoned behavior.
That's really powerful. I like thinking about it like a musician muting a trumpet, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
They don't stop the sound completely, they just soften it, blend it in. Or like a color muting a bright pattern in a design.
Exactly. It's about reducing prominence, softening the impact, bringing balance. Whether it's sound, emotion, visual intensity, the core idea is lessening or softening.
Okay, so from the act of softening of mute, let's talk about diminish. This feels a bit more general, maybe. It's a verb meaning to make or become less.
Yes, often implying a more gradual reduction.
Like the first example, the world's resources are rapidly diminishing. Pretty straightforward. A quantity getting smaller over time.
That's a clear case of reduction in amount, a decrease in supply. It suggests an ongoing process.
But then we get this more complex example, which is great for seeing how these words work with abstract ideas. Complex international, economic, technological, and cultural changes could start to diminish the leading position of English as the language of the world market.
Right. And here, diminish isn't about a physical quantity shrinking.
No. So what is diminishing? How does it work with something like a leading position?
It's about reducing importance, influence, or dominance. All those complex factors, new economic powers, tech shifts, cultural trends, they're chipping away at English's relative advantage.
So it's like its share of the pie is getting smaller, relatively speaking.
That's a good way to put it. Its prominence or preeminence is diminishing, even if the absolute number of speakers isn't necessarily going down. It works really well with abstract concepts like influence, reputation, value.
Okay, that's crucial, using diminish for abstract things like position or value. So, quick comparison for someone studying, mute versus diminish. What's the core difference?
Well, mute, especially the verb, often suggests an active, maybe deliberate, softening or suppression. You mute a reaction, you mute a sound.
Yeah, there's an agent doing the muting.
Often, yes. Whereas diminish frequently describes a more general process of becoming less, sometimes passive or gradual. Resources diminish. Influence diminishes. It might be due to external factors or just happening over time.
Got it. Mute is more like applying the brakes. Diminish is more like running low on fuel.
Kind of, yeah. Mute, dampening, diminish, general reduction.
Okay, so we've had softening and gradual reduction. Now for the drama. Plunge. This word just sounds intense, doesn't it?
It really does. It implies speed and severity.
It can be a verb or a noun, conveying a rapid, sudden drop. The verb example, stock markets plunged at the news of the coup.
Yeah, see, that's not diminishing slowly. That's a nosedive.
Exactly. It screams suddenness, severity, maybe even panic. You can almost see the graph falling off a cliff.
Absolutely. It captures that shock, that significant, uncontrolled fall, like diving headfirst. That energy is there.
Right. But then the noun form can be quite different metaphorically. Check this out. People may well wonder why so few companies took the online plunge.
Ah, took the plunge. A classic idiom.
So here, plunge isn't a physical drop at all. What's it referring to?
It refers to taking a bold, decisive step into something new and potentially risky or uncertain, like jumping into deep water.
So like making a big commitment, a leap of faith.
Exactly. Going online, back when that was a new frontier for businesses, felt like a big, uncertain leap. Taking the plunge captures that sense of committing to a significant, maybe intimidating venture.
And the verb took is the key signal there, right? Took the plunge tells you plunge is the noun, the action or venture itself.
Precisely. You wouldn't say companies plunged online in quite the same way. Took the plunge is a fixed phrase, an idiom. It highlights how verbs and nouns work together to create these common vid expressions, essential for that natural feel of the language.
Definitely. So plunge stands out from mute and diminish because of that speed and intensity. Whether it's a literal fall or a metaphorical leap.
That's the core of it. Sudden, dramatic drop, or a bold, risky venture. Mute, dampen, diminish, reduce gradually. Plunge, drop sharply, or dive in.
Okay, great. So we've looked at things decreasing. Now let's flip it and look at putting things together and closing them. We've got parcel, package, and wrap.
Yeah, everyday actions, but again, with distinct nuances about how things are contained or presented. Little differences that matter.
Starting with parcel. It's a noun and a verb. As a noun, pretty common. There's a parcel and some letters for you. A delivered item.
Or she was carrying a parcel of books, meaning just a bundle, maybe tied up, but not necessarily in a box.
Right. Could be less formal than a package. It can also mean a piece of land, a parcel of land.
True, a defined plot. The key is a distinct unit or bundle.
But the idiom is where it gets interesting for exam prep. The example. If the study of law is beginning to establish itself as part and parcel of a general education. Okay, part and parcel. What's that about?
Part and parcel. That means an essential, inseparable component, something that's absolutely integral to the whole.
So law is becoming a fundamental, non-optional part of general education in this context.
Exactly. It's not just an add-on. It's intrinsically linked. You can't really have one without the other, according to the sentence. It's a fixed phrase. Its meaning isn't just a piece in a bundle.
And knowing phrases like that, part and parcel, is key for fluency, isn't it? It's how native speakers often talk.
Absolutely. Collocations and idioms are shortcuts. They make your English sound more natural, and understanding them is crucial for reading comprehension, because you can't just decode them word by word. You have to know the whole chunk means essential part.
Okay, next, package. Also a noun and a verb. Noun. A large package has arrived for you. Simple enough, a wrapped item may be bigger or more formally done than a parcel.
Often, yes. Package tends to imply something put into a container, like a box, especially for shipping or sale. Maybe more protection involved.
And the verb focuses on that action. The glasses had been carefully packaged for the journey. This emphasizes the act of preparing them, putting them in a container, right?
And often, as you hinted, package suggests a more structured, maybe even commercial or industrial process. Think of factory packaged goods.
Compared to parcel, which could just be books tied with string.
Exactly. Package often implies more deliberate preparation, maybe for safety, transport, or even marketing, like packaging a product or an idea.
Right. And the last one in this group is wrap. Verb and noun again. The verb seems straightforward. He spent the evening wrapping up the Christmas presents, covering something, usually with paper.
That's the classic image, encircling or enveloping. And notice, wrapping up can also mean finishing something, like let's wrap up the meeting, a common phrasal verb.
Good point. Another verb example. I wrapped the baby up in a blanket, enveloping for warmth or protection.
Yes. And the noun form, like a shawl or scarf, is also a covering you wrap around yourself.
So the core idea seems consistent, covering or enclosing.
Very consistent. You wrap a gift, wrap a sandwich, wrap yourself in a towel, even wrap your head around an idea. It's always about enveloping or covering, often focusing on the action itself.
Okay, so quick recap. Parcel a bundle, a plot of land, or an essential part, idiom. Package, usually a more formally contained item, implying a structured process. Wrap the action of covering or enclosing. All right, let's shift gears again. Now we're diving into a really crucial set of words for exams, all about promises, certainty, making things happen. This group can be tricky. Allege, pledge, assure, insure, and guarantee.
Yeah, the distinctions here are subtle but incredibly important, especially in formal contexts. Getting these wrong can really change the meaning. Context is king here.
Let's start with allege. It's a verb to state something as a fact but without proof. Sounds quite formal, often legal.
Very much so.
The example. The prosecution alleges that she was driving carelessly. What does alleges signal immediately?
It signals a claim has been made, but crucially, it's unproven. It's an accusation that needs to be substantiated. It tells the reader, treat this as a claim, not a fact. It protects the reporter, too.
Right, keeps them objective. So it's a flag for skepticism. And then the adjective form, alleged, in the example. This suggests that the alleged Hawthorne effect is hard to pin down.
Yes, alleged modifies Hawthorne effect here. It means the effect itself is claimed to exist or happen, but it's not definitively proven or universally accepted.
So the existence or validity of the effect is in question.
Exactly. There's doubt or uncertainty surrounding it. So whether it's the verb allege or the adjective alleged, the core idea is an unproven claim. Critical for reading comprehension, it tells you not to take the following information as gospel truth.
Okay, from unproven claims to firm promises. Pledge. Verb and noun, meaning a serious promise. Often used by governments or organizations, it seems.
Yes, it usually implies a formal public commitment.
Like, the government pledged their support for the plan. Or, the other example, the government has pledged to change the law. It feels solid, like a declaration of intent.
It is. A pledge carries weight, a sense of responsibility to follow through. It's a solemn promise for future action. Completely different feel from allege.
How would you summarize that difference? Allege versus pledge.
Allege looks backward, reporting an unproven claim about something past or present. Pledge looks forward, making a serious promise about future action or support. One reports uncertainty, the other declares intent.
Got it. Next, assure, a verb. To make someone confident about something. It feels more personal somehow. Let me assure you that I will try to help you.
Exactly. Assure is directed at a person or people. It's about removing their doubts, making them feel confident or secure. It's about managing someone else's feelings or perceptions.
Like giving reassurance.
Precisely. You assure someone to alleviate their worries. The focus is on the recipient's state of mind.
And in the organizational example, the Biotechnology Industry Organization, BIO, assured members that this was just a preliminary step. Same idea, but aimed at a group. Building confidence, managing expectations.
Yes, exactly. Telling the members confidently to remove their fears or doubts about the situation. It's about communication aimed at instilling confidence. And the noun is assurance, that positive declaration itself.
Okay, now insure. This one seems specific. A verb meaning to provide financial protection against risk.
That's its primary core meaning, yes.
The painting is insured for $1 million. Clear link to money, risk, compensation.
Absolutely. Insure is fundamentally about financial contracts, premiums, protection against quantifiable loss. Think car insurance, health insurance. The noun insurance reinforces that. It's a financial safety net.
But there's always a but, isn't there? The example, the use of wood was minimized to ensure fire safety. That doesn't sound financial.
This is a common point of confusion, and usage can vary a bit, especially between, say, US and UK English.
So it can mean just make sure.
Sometimes, yes, it's used synonymously with insure to mean make certain. In that sentence, it means to make certain of fire safety. However, this usage is less common and potentially ambiguous.
So ensure would usually be clearer in that context.
Generally, yes. Insure is the go-to word for making an outcome certain. While you might see insure used this way, its core meaning is financial protection. So best practice. Insure for money risk. Insure for making outcomes certain.
Okay, that leads us perfectly to ensure, verb, to make certain that something will occur or be the case. This feels very proactive.
It is. Insure is about taking steps, putting things in place to guarantee an outcome. You actively work to make it happen.
Like, we are working to ensure the safety of people implies actions are being taken to achieve that specific result.
Exactly. Cause and effect. These actions ensure that result. It's about making a future outcome definite through effort or planning.
And the other example, mothers and fathers can do a lot to ensure a safe landing in early adulthood for their kids. Again, parental actions are taken to make that safe transition certain.
Right. It applies to processes, long-term goals. You ensure success by preparing. So, quick recap again. Assure people's feelings. Ensure against financial loss. Ensure an outcome happens.
People, money, outcomes. Got it. Last one in this group, guarantee. Noun and verb. This feels like the strongest one. To promise or make certain.
It generally is the strongest, yes, implying the highest level of certainty.
The verb example. The ticket will guarantee you free entry. No doubt there. The ticket makes it certain.
Absolutely. A guarantee often implies an unconditional promise or an inherent quality that ensures the result. Think of a product guarantee.
It often sounds official or formal, maybe even legal.
It can certainly carry that weight. But then look at the noun example used negatively. There is no guarantee that DNT by default will become the norm.
Right. Here, guarantee means certainty itself, and the sentence says there isn't any.
Exactly. No guarantee highlights the absence of certainty, the lack of an absolute promise or inevitable outcome. It flags uncertainty.
Okay, so comparing guarantee to the others, it's the strongest promise. How does it differ slightly from, say, insure?
It often implies a more formal pledge or backing. While you might ensure something happens through your own efforts, a guarantee often comes from an external source or as a formal commitment to someone else.
Like a warranty.
Exactly. A warranty guarantees the product. You're studying ensures you're prepared. Guarantee often implies an unbreakable promise or an outcome that is absolutely certain due to some inherent property or formal backing. Insure is more about the actions taken to make it certain.
So, final rundown. Assure, remove doubt, people. Insure, protect financially, money risk. Insure, make outcomes certain, actions, results. Guarantee, strongest certainty, often a formal promise or inherent quality, unconditional outcome.
That's a pretty solid way to map them out. Mastering those distinctions is a huge step up.
Wow, okay. That was quite the journey through reduction, enclosure, and assurance. We fit mute, diminish, plunge, then parcel, package, wrap, and finally that tricky group, allege, pledge, assure, insure, and guarantee.
Yeah, quite a set. And I hope it's clear that just knowing a basic definition isn't enough. It's all about context, nuance, how the words behave in sentences.
Absolutely. Recognizing the part of speech, seeing how it connects with other words, that's where the real understanding, the real mastery comes from. It's not just memorizing, it's building that internal sense of the language.
And that's what gives you the ability to, really understand complex texts accurately and also to express your own ideas with more precision. It's invaluable for exams, yes, but also just for clearer thinking and communication.
So here's something to think about as you continue learning. When you notice these subtle differences, like between assure, insure, and insure, how does that change things beyond just getting a better exam score? How does it fundamentally sharpen the way you understand everything you read or hear from news reports and contracts to academic articles? Does that precision change how you see the world?
That's a great question. It really moves you from just processing words to critically engaging with the underlying meaning and intent. It builds a more sophisticated understanding.
Definitely something to ponder. We really hope you'll re-listen, pause, maybe look up these words in different contexts you find yourself. See them in action.
Yeah, make them your own.
And please do like, share, and subscribe to Listen to Deep Dive and Learn Words if you found this helpful. We'll be back with more deep dives.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone, and all the best with your studies.